Your mileage on this one will definitely vary based on how much you like Bill Burr as a comedian. Let's talk about his directorial debut, streaming now on Netflix, Old Dads. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new Netflix film Old Dads. This is streaming right now, and it stars Bill Burr, and he is also the director and co-writer of the film. And he's brought a couple of his longtime buddies with him, Bobby Cannavale and Bokeem Woodbine. And before we launch into the specifics of this movie and my thoughts on it, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. We do movie and TV reviews here on the channel, and I try to post something new just about every day. So always a lot to check out, and some handy-dandy playlists on the homepage as well, so you don't kind of get lost with all the videos I post. There's a 2023 movie playlist and a 2023 TV review playlist as well. But please consider subscribing, and if you're already a subscriber, or if you don't want to do that, just hit that like button. That helps the channel out tremendously as well. All right, so Old Dads is the name of the film. Bill Burr is at the center of this movie, and really, it could be considered the latest in this kind of 2023 line of stand-ups, kind of building movies around their stand-up routines. We saw that earlier in the year with The Machine, and About My Father with Sebastian Maniscalco. Burt Kreischer did The Machine. Even last year we had Joe Coy doing the Easter Sunday movie. This is not specifically taken directly from one of Burr's stand-up routines, but it may as well have been. It's got his viewpoint and his mind right at the center of all of it. And the basic premise here is these three older guys who became fathers late in life, who've run this business together for decades, end up selling the business, and now they are, kind of part of a cog in the machine that is this business that they're running. It's like a clothing sort of specialty store, whatever, and they find themselves out of touch with not only their coworkers, but the world around them. When I was a kid, it was like this, and now all these, this generation and blah, blah, blah. It's a lot of that sort of like, I'm from an older generation, and I don't quite get what's happening here, and old man shaking his fist at the cloud kind of thing. But look, that's been Bill Burr's brand for a while now, even though he's not really that old. I mean, he's probably in his, I don't know, mid-50s, late 50s, something like that. Maybe not, though. I don't know. I mean, he's definitely older than me. I'm 45. But in any event, that's sort of been his kind of MO, with his stand-up routines, and if he goes on talk shows and stuff like that, he's got that kind of angry old man issues, sort of peppering his performances. But also, the part I don't necessarily love about Bill Burr, and I love, like, he was one of the best guests on Conan all the time. I go back to their YouTube videos very often of just clips, from Bill Burr on the show. He's, always real funny, and I like, the way he kind of phrases things, whatever. But he does have this quality that is kind of like the, I don't necessarily have a joke, I'm going to just say something offensive, and that's the joke. Dave Chappelle and some of his more recent stand-up specials have sort of has adopted that as well, and that makes sense because Bill Burr was part of the old Chappelle show back in the day, so they're old friends. So I'm not sure that I love that part of Bill Burr stuff, and there's definitely some stuff here with that. There's and some out of step stuff too. There's like some Caitlyn Jenner kind of transphobic stuff, and there's some real dated references. They talk about Halliburton at one point, but look, an older dude is going to make those kind of references. Those are his touchstones, right? So I think that actually makes sense. And to say that the movie is dated because of that, or the comedy is dated because of some of these older references, I think actually does a disservice to the characterization of, the guys in this movie. And I'm not saying the characters are, really well thought out or whatever. But, look, there is something to be said about being authentic. And I do think guys that are, in their 50s or whatever, early 60s, I don't know how old all the guys are. I don't think any of them have reached 60 yet. But, But in any, and if they do, they look great. But in any event, that is kind of what people talk about. I mean, look, I still make references all the time to things that were even before my time. Walter Cronkite, whatever. So I get that. My biggest issue with the movie really is that it's just not very groundbreaking. But I do think it's funny. And certainly some of the things that they're pointing out. Look, there's no shortage of movies or TV shows pointing out differences between generations, and oh, this current generation is so soft, and these Gen Zers or millennials or whatever it is. At some point somebody calls Bill Burr's character a boomer in this movie, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Gen X," whatever. But look, even though it's not new territory, there are some funny things going on in this movie. And Rachel Harris plays the principal of the school, and it's like this real new agey school that Bill Burr's character's like kiddo is at. He's like 5 or whatever, and he kind of gets into it with her about the sort of earthiness of the school and this and that. And look, I'm not saying any of these are new revelations, but they're all sort of Bill Burr's perspective. So if you do like his stand-up, if you do like his talk show appearances, or podcast appearances, I think this is going to be something that's up your alley. I think it's maybe a little gentler than some of his stand-up stuff, where he tries to kind of be sort of the persona is like, let's be as abrasive as possible and see if we can turn people off or whatever, anger the audience. That stuff doesn't do it for me. But the stuff here in this, yeah, it's a little bit of a softer tone, and there is an emotional center that comes around, by the end of the movie, which I think you need because none of these 3 lead characters are particularly likable. But I'm not sure that anybody in this movie is all that likable. The wives are okay. Certainly Rachel Harris's character is meant to be, kind of a protagonist or antagonist, I should say. So yeah, it needed that kind of emotional center towards the end, I think, to work. And I don't know that it always works, but I think it works enough. I like to look at the Rotten Tomatoes scores. After watching the movie, just to kind of see, okay, am I nuts? This is like at a 22% or something with critics, which I think is a bit harsh. But audiences way higher, which makes sense. I think a lot of Bill Burr fans are probably who's going to gravitate towards this. If that's you, I think you will like this movie. And if you're not really a fan of his stand-up, I don't think you're going to get much out of this. I leave Old Dads with a B minus. And you can stream that now on Netflix. All right, thank you so much for watching Dan Reviews It. We'll see you next time.